Petal 8. Who are you? The genie in the bottle. We are energy. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It just changes form. Einstein realized that. When seen out of context, a cloud in the sky could just as easily be a wave in the ocean. Perceptual experience is choice. Can you open your mind to the infinite possibilities? D.L. Robinson. The sun is 93 million miles away from us. It is so far that the light from the sun, traveling at 186,000 miles per second, takes about 8 minutes to reach us. Astoundingly, we can still see and feel the sun's beams. That is incredible if you think about it. Just like a sunbeam can never be separate from the sun, we can never be separate from God and each other. Next time you are in the sun, squint your eyes and notice the golden light coming from the sun right to your heart center. No matter where you move, that light follows you. That is how we are connected to our higher selves, to God, and to each other. With normal eyesight, we cannot notice, but if we change the lens, we see with new eyes. The Japanese mourn when babies are born and celebrate when people die. The Japanese, along with other Eastern cultures, understand that taking human form is a tough job with a lot of heartache and pain. Death is a freeing of the soul. Our eternal expansive soul is freed like a genie in the bottle. Life is love, which is a gift from God and parents. And death is gratitude for going to a new dimension. Masaru Emoto. How we view life is up to us. There is no reason that we have to follow along with what we are brought up with, what the majority thinks, what society thinks, or what our family thinks. Think for yourself, make your own rituals, and follow what is true in your own heart. I decided a long time ago that when I die, or leave this body to be more precise, I want to have a life celebration party, not a funeral. I want my ashes to be scattered in the ocean, my home. No need for my body to be rotting in the earth when I'm not in my body anymore. I will be free in my big form. A wonderful true story about a near-death experience, NDE, by Anita Moorjani, Dying to Be Me, my journey from cancer to near-death to true healing, is one I highly recommend. One of the things that stuck with me from her story and many other NDE accounts I have read about was the discovery that the other side was much more real than this world. There is more to us than meets the eye, and there is another reality with capital R that is slowly manifesting on our planet. The invisible is becoming visible again. You are different from God, but you are not divided from God. The fact that you are not divided from God is why you can never die. The wave lands on the beach, but it does not cease to be. It merely changes form, receding back into the ocean. Neil Donald Walsh, Home with God and a Life That Never Ends. If change is the only constant, what doesn't change? We go back to our Yoga Sutras. The Purusha, or the seer, the true self, is the only thing that remains indestructible. It would make sense then to hold on to what is changeless in a changing world. Otherwise, we are bound to suffer. It all comes back to the same fundamental question I have been asking throughout my book. Who are you? Abiding, ageless, timeless, perpetual, constant, steadfast, immovable, unwavering, eternal, boundless, everlasting, imperishable, unfading, enduring, unfailing, continual light and love. Unchain your brain. Did you ever wonder why we only use 10% of our brain? I have my entire life. The brain is the biological computer that only allows in what we have been programmed with. Most social programming teaches you to accept a very limited view of human existence and human ability. Our limited thinking programs also come from what we experience with the five senses: sight, hearing, taste, smell, and touch, and not the whole reality. Although the brain is capable of receiving higher information and frequencies, it only receives what we allow, and what we allow comes from our narrow viewpoints and our programming. Any thought that doesn't fit into the limited thinking programs of our brain is deflected, and that's why the law of attraction does not work for some. From Proof of Heaven by Dr. Eben Alexander. We can only see what our brain's filter allows through. The brain In particular, its left side, linguistic, logical part, that which generates our sense of rationality and the feeling of being a sharply defined ego or self, is a barrier to our higher knowledge and experience. The law of belief. In the beginning of my awakening, I became a law of attraction practitioner. In my recent awakenings, I've come to learn that there is more to the law of attraction, and that's why it never stuck. I learned how to manifest money and material needs, but it was temporary. The law of attraction is the cosmetic of real creation. We cannot manifest what we do not believe. Ultimately, it's our beliefs that become our reality, not our thoughts. If we have positive thoughts, but underneath in our subconscious we don't really believe them, we will not manifest anything. If we harbor doubt, that will automatically block the creation. Doubt stems from fear, which stems from forgetting who you are. That is why people say affirmations and write them down on sticky notes and nothing happens. The law of belief is the ultimate law of creation. We need to reprogram our brains and our thinking in order to reopen our sacred minds to not just the 5 senses, but higher dimensions. When we live our life sourcing our joy from our senses in the material world, we are bound to suffer. That all changes. Our divine essence remains. The moment we realize who we are, we no longer have to manifest anything. It goes from a mechanical exercise to an automatic response from the universe and reverberation of our vibration. Then praying for something outside of us turns into praying for something inside of us when we realize we cannot manifest what we don't have. When we want or desire something, that implies we don't have it, and that presumes lack. Lack is the illusion. There is an abundance of everything we need on this planet to survive and thrive. All we need to do is believe and become it. A deep and concrete inner knowing of who you are is the key to manifesting. Your prayer then becomes, help me step into the vibration of the God or Goddess that I truly am. Got love? Asking this question is a silly one. It's like asking if the ocean has water. Of course it does. It is water. You have love, of course, because you are love. Enlightenment for a wave in the ocean is the moment the wave realizes that it is water. Thich Nhat Hanh. Enlightenment for a human on the earth is the moment the human realizes that it is God. That's when do have be turns into be do have. When you have allowed love to be the backdrop of your life, you no longer have to say it. You just are it. And that is how mantras become you. At first, we say mantras, write them down, chant them over and over, write them on sticky notes, put them up everywhere in the house and in the car. Then one day, if you're doing the work and you wake up to the truth and corrected perception, you realize you no longer need that sticky note or the mantra. You no longer need to say the words because you are it, and your life is a reflection of it. The conscious mind merges with the subconscious mind. The thinking and believing stops, and you exude it through your presence. That's integration. For me, there has been no greater feeling of relief and happiness than when people notice and say that I exude love, openness, and light. It is a complete 180 degrees from where I was, exuding dirty looks, rolling eyeballs, and angry yells. Holy shift. That's when spirituality isn't 5 minutes of meditation in the morning or a 1-hour yoga class. You've stopped trying to cram it into your busy schedule. There is no need once you've transformed into a more evolved being with a different perspective. That is what spiritual integration means. Everything you do comes from a knowing of who you really are. You are God choosing. You see everything as spiritual. You see God in everyone, everywhere. You are still in the world, but you know you are not from the world. You have a greater awareness and see with different eyes. This is what the ascension, or 5th dimension, the new earth, the shift that we have moved into on December 21st, 2012, is all about. Jesus proclaimed, "But seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness," he declared, "and all these things shall be added unto you." Matthew 6:33. With these words, Jesus gave voice to a teaching that is universal and timeless. Seek God first. Seek you first, the true you. All else but this is the illusion, the Maya, the temporary world. This is the foundation for true inner peace and happiness. The kingdom of God is within you is a universal teaching in all great religions. When you wake up and realize who you are, that there is no thing that is not you, you are all-encompassing, a hologram, a part of all that is. You are God expressing yourself through the lens of your chosen human form. Your whole life will change. It's not because you are not worthy that you should receive. It's because you are worthy that you should receive. From the Starseed Transmissions by Ken Carey. Your entry into the external awesomeness of the present moment, into the presence of God, will be through what we call a psychological process. This process is a process of identity shift, a process through which balance is restored in your awareness of the two realities. Through it, you begin to realize that you are not the form you animate, but the form of animation itself. But the force of animation itself. Through it, you will reawaken to an awareness of all that you are in spirit and in wholeness. It is a process that will return you to a state of grace, a state of health, a state of intimate association with all that is. This state already exists. It always has. Yet most human beings are blinded to it by the incessant machinations of the rational thought process that they worship instead of God and His simple truth. The isness business. That's when we exist in a state of isness. Isness is a pure state of beingness. It's allowance. There is no will, no thought. There is no more turmoil, no more entanglements. You can say isness is like surrender, accepting all that is in the moment without trying to change it. Most people think of surrender as defeat, hoisting the white flag. Surrender on the new earth is actually a very active and courageous way of being because it takes faith in the unknown for some that are just waking up. But for others that are conscious, faith takes a back seat because it has become a knowing. Being in a state of isness doesn't mean we deny our human self. Actually, we acknowledge that our human self has imperfections, and we can accept that part of us. But we also connect to our God self and acknowledge the perfection and wholeness of who we truly are in our deepest core essence. Dr. David Hawkins described it as a thought-free state of knowingness that's complete and all-inclusive, with neither need nor want, and beyond the limitation of experiencing the merely individualized personal self. Inspiring and comforting words from Home with God and a Life That Never Ends. There is no way to get into the kingdom of God. It is not a place you get into or out of. It is a place where you always are. It is the only place that you can ever be. The great misunderstanding of all those who have forgotten ultimate truth, the great illusion of all those who live in temporary amnesia, is that there is somewhere they have to go, somewhere they have to journey in order to get to heaven, or unite with God and experience eternal bliss. There is nowhere you have to go, nothing you have to do, and nothing you have to be except exactly what you are being right now in order to experience the bliss of the divine. You are the bliss of the divine, and you simply do not know it.